Hello and welcome to your Daily Cup of Football with me, David Wilson. Back with me, as always, James Wilson or Steven. I say James. The world knows him by Steven, right?
No, not really.
Not really. We'll go with James. And we're back because I realize the continuity on some of these videos are going to be weird because of.
If you don't talk about it, it doesn't. There's no
I
problem.
know, but I feel like we should just explain some of it. No?
There's no explaining.
So what are we
Let the
talking about
people
today,
piece it
James?
together.
We're talking
Did Peru
about.
win? Did they
Well,
win big?
no. We're
Did
not
they
going to
turn
talk.
around qualify?
We're not going to talk about that today. We'll save that for another sad. We'll save that for another podcast.
Okay.
We don't want to
okay.
give it away here. For those watching the video, I just gave it away. So we're here to talk about another team that is close to our hearts. I would say I don't want to speak for James, but of all the national teams we root for, I would say the United States national team is our favorite team. James is.
I don't know.
I think James is afraid to be hurt, and I think this is James's team that he would want to see do the best. But it just never really happens. And more recently has been the opposite and been just terrible. So James is protecting himself emotionally. Look, we obviously support the U.S. women's national team also, who dominate every time
they don't need
our
support. They're doing just fine.
And hopefully they might be playing this summer, assuming the Olympics happen. But we're for the men who are in a slightly more transitional moment. James is already shaking his head.
Don't give me that. Okay, we're not the Lakers in 2013. Okay, we're in a transition.
Don't bring up the Lakers. Why do you have to bring up the Lakers?
We're in a transition season. No,
I'll try to explain why it is. But anyway, we're here today because tomorrow, and this is actually going to go up the day we're recording it. At least that's my goal.
Ooh.
We'll see how it goes.
The game's over.
The game is tomorrow.
Guys, go on the TV quick.
No, the game is tomorrow. The United States is playing Mexico. It is a competitive game in a made-up tournament that CONCACAF created. But then again, every tournament is made up because some federation decided to make it. Nations League, which was kind of made because a lot of the lower teams, smaller teams in CONCACAF don't really play many games aside from World Cup qualifiers. So FIFA and CONCACAF were like, hey, let's make some money. We'll give some of these other countries a chance to play each other in a kind of competitive tournament, which is for those teams a way to get into the Gold Cup, which has been traditionally the CONCACAF regional tournament, like the Copa America or the Euros that's happening this summer, but with fewer teams. So there is a Copa America Gold Cup this summer. There's also been a Nations League that has been going on for a while. Basically, it came down to 4 teams. And of course, as is the law in CONCACAF, it comes down to U.S. Mexico. And they're playing each other. They both played semifinals on Thursday in Denver at Mile High Stadium. And both teams advanced. Both didn't exactly make it easy for themselves. The U.S. won 1-0 with an 80th minute winner from Jordan Sibachu, making his first, I think, competitive.
Good luck spelling that one.
Yeah, competitive debut, along with a few other players. So he came off the bench as a forward and scored. And Mexico went to penalties against Costa Rica, and they won on penalties, thanks to a save by Memo Ochoa, still holding it down in the sticks for Mexico and still looking great doing it. So, James, this tournament doesn't in itself mean really anything. There's no World Cup qualifying points on the line. There's no Gold Cup points. And I would argue even the Gold Cup is kind of in itself not a meaningful tournament. It's all about building toward World Cup qualifying and World Cups. And for the U.S., getting to the World Cup is actually has not been a guarantee because in 2018, the U.S. did not qualify. They played 10 games and won 3 of them and could not get a tie against Trinidad and did not go. They deserved everything they got. Yes, there were some things that didn't go their way, but they were bad. And there's been a rebuilding that has been going on since then. New coaches, young players. But into this game, James, against Mexico, who I would say is the better team and usually has the better talent on the field over the years in these matchups. I know you tend to not think of Mexico that highly, or that they're maybe overhyped. But in this game, I think, again, Mexico would be the favorite. What are your feelings about the national team right now and going into this game, and your expectations and what you hope to see from it?
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I wasn't prepared. I don't know. I don't have a prepared statement. My usual,
I
well
want the
thought
raw
out prepared
emotion. I
statement.
want the raw emotion.
How am I feeling about the team? I don't know what to think because no one knows what they're playing for in these games. Like what they're just playing for a spot in the squad when the games matter. I think this is just a glorified friendly, but it's not really that friendly when it's USA against Mexico.
Mhm.
The teams don't tend to like each other that much. Um, I don't. I think like a lot of people, I've been trying not to get all, oh my gosh, Weston McKennie. Oh, wow. Oh, he's so young, so much talent. Like, are they talented? I don't know. I think that's what we're still trying to figure out. They seem to be performing for their club teams, but in the game they just played against Honduras, where were those young talented guys? I mean, what were they doing? Not much is the answer. I mean, Jordi Reyna should have scored like the first half at some point.
Gio
He just
Reyna. Gio
whatever,
Reyna.
whatever. He doesn't deserve to be called by his real name
Okay,
until he scores
okay.
against Mexico. Okay,
Jordi
he
Reyna. Wow.
jukes out some guys, and then just the hardest part or the easiest part, he
Okay.
just misses. I mean, what? It's just not enough. There's a lot of there were some moments where it's like, ooh, wow, yeah, passy movie, all that stuff, but it just didn't seem to amount to much. And the goal was a fluke. Let's be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, okay,
I'll
it was.
disagree. I'll disagree, but
No,
it's fine.
you're right. That was the plan. That was
Okay.
always the plan.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Okay, look, hold on. So going into this game, I'm expecting to win.
Wow.
Look. I expect us to beat Mexico every time we play them. That is the expectation.
Wow.
That's the way it is. That's the way it should be, and that's the way that Mexico should be looking at this game too.
Well,
If
I
I was
think for
if I was a
Mexico,
supporter,
yes.
if I was a supporter of Mexico, I'd be saying the same thing. I'd be saying every time we play United States, we should be beating them, and I think the U.S. should look at these games the same way. There's no reason not to beat them. They're not that good. Never have been, and they always prove that.
Wow. Okay. Here's the thing. I think you brought up a good point at the end there. The U.S. Because of how the last qualifying cycle went, there's it took a lot of it took us way back, steps back. We thought we were at a certain point. We're like, okay, maybe need to look at this a little differently. We're not maybe as good as we think, but it is true that the U.S. and Mexico are the two biggest teams in CONCACAF. If the U.S. thinks that they are, should qualify for the World Cup, they should beat Mexico. I think the idea of coming into a game against Mexico and trying to get having the mindset that we could win this game, we should win this game, is an important thing for the young team. You mentioned some of the players to be able to do, because they're going to have to play Mexico in more meaningful games, qualifiers, basically. And against Mexico, we don't have the greatest record recently. We used to have a pretty good record. We had like a fortress called Columbus Crew Stadium. We were actually there for basically the beginning of the end of that
We are good
home
at
field
cursing
advantage.
teams
Yeah.
in more than one sport.
But this is the team you're going to have to, this is Mexico is the measuring stick right now in CONCACAF. It always is. And I think, yeah, the U.S. has young players. You mentioned Weston McKennie, who plays for Juventus in Italy and actually like plays meaningful minutes for Juventus, which is pretty good. Met Juventus
Who barely scraped in the Champions League.
Okay, but it's still Juventus, which is a
Okay.
massive club, and usually we haven't seen an American at Juventus ever. So that was a big step. Christian Pulisic obviously has been the golden child of this national team for the last 6 years, since like 2016, and he's still 20. How old are you, James?
22.
So he's 22. As long as James stays young, we have a chance. Basically.
I'm trying, but it's slipping away.
He's obviously the best player, I think, on the U.S. by some distance. Is that fair?
I think he's the best player in CONCACAF by some distance.
Okay, there you go.
Shut up about Chucky.
Yeah, well, okay, I agree with you. Christian Pulisic played for Chelsea this year. Before that, he was at Dortmund. He won the Champions League. He didn't really start in the He came off the bench, but he's still a Champions League winner. That's kind of impressive. You mentioned Giovanni Reyna, son of Claudio Reyna, American national team legend, who was captaining the team in their greatest ever World Cup performance in 2002. He's coming up through Dortmund, and I think he actually had a better game than Pulisic on Thursday. They should have scored. And there's other players in there. I think for me, the biggest question is Josh Sargent and the forward situation, because we don't really have a solid starter. Jordan Siebatcheu came off the bench for Sargent and in like 5 minutes scored. So for him, that's how you do it. Sargent might be a better overall player, but hasn't really found his goal scoring. Basically, I think the result is not important tomorrow, in my opinion. The experience is important. So, like, I would want to see the
experience of getting creamed. Yeah, that's
no. I don't think there's any point. Like, this is different than if we're playing a qualifier, even at home, or if we like went to Mexico to play a qualifier. In terms of how to approach this game, I want to see the U.S. try to just play this game and try to win instead of, like if Mexico trying to like get a result, basically. I don't really, there's not really a point in that, right? I mean, there's not really a point in going in this like, oh, we need to try to like be cagey and get a result. Let's just try to play and see if we can win this game. Do you disagree?
Yeah, I do. I think the result is important. That's just, I'm just laying it down, okay? Because it's about confidence building. All this tournament is about confidence building. And if you play your way, whatever you think that means, I don't know what you think that means, what you expect to see, because I know what we're going to see. We're going to see not much fancy play. You're not. This is going to be an ugly game. This is not going to be a pretty game to watch. There will be misplaced passes. There will be challenges. There will be fighting, probably. Not fighting, like everybody grouping up and yelling at each other. Scuffles. But it's not going to be pretty. It never is.
Well, that was the thing I was going to say about the semifinal. A lot of people, not just you, were very disappointed with the performance, and we're saying, oh well, we still are bad. It's Honduras. We got to roll them 5-0 because it's Honduras, which we have done before. But I think it also is fair that none of these games are usually easy for even Mexico. I mean, Mexico doesn't always roll these teams. Honduras is not a good team. But they didn't really do anything to the U.S. It's not like this was a back and forth game. It was just the U.S. took a while to score. Honduras had one really good chance, and the U.S. were basically in control. It was just a matter of when the goal is going to come. So I don't think it was as bad as people made it out. And again, like you said, these players who individually have done great things or play for good teams, I should say, not all have done great things for those club teams, but haven't really played together in like competitive matches like ever, because the U.S. haven't had competitive matches and these guys are really young. So I think I'm glad they're playing Mexico because this is the test they need. We haven't had a U.S. Mexico game and it's about a year and a half. And that one was like a friendly, and the one before that was a friendly. So they haven't played in a competitive game, I think, since the Gold Cup final in 2019, which Mexico won 1-0. But I remember that one not being a terrible performance by the U.S. In fact, they had chances early to win that game. I think U.S. is going to get chances. Mexico has good players, but so does the U.S. And Pulisic wasn't at his best on Thursday. I think it's also a little, he was coming from a flight from across the country, or not the country, across the ocean.
A country.
After like 2 days later, or 3 or 4 days before, playing in the Champions League. So, and celebrating. And even on Thursday, he had flashes where you're like, okay, yeah, he's the answer basically. So, I don't know what's going to happen. I just hope I hope we just see some guys, make some, this is how you start, building your confidence, like you said, and also your position in the national team. And they had a chance in 2019 and they lost. This is another chance to play against Mexico. It's not completely a competitive game, but I think it is. There's going to be fans. We'll see what happens. The other thing we wanted to talk about a little bit was qualifying for the U.S. because it's slightly different. And those games do matter. They're going to be in September is when it starts. It used to be a group of 6 was the final qualifying group for CONCACAF, and 3 teams went was it 3? Yeah, 3 teams go automatically, and the 4th place did a playoff. And U.S. couldn't even finish 4th. That's how bad it was. This time around, it's going to be 8 teams, and it's the same thing. 3 advance automatically, 4 is a play-in. Unlike last cycle, U.S. doesn't have to qualify into the 8. We get to go into the 8 automatically, along with 5 other teams based on our FIFA ranking. I believe other teams are Mexico, Costa Rica, Honduras, Jamaica, I believe, are the other 4 teams along with the US. And actually, the teams that are trying to play in to get to that are playing right now. And in fact, this is just basically a little bit of, it doesn't really matter at all. But basically, James, Trinidad and Tobago had to play their way into this. And Trinidad is the team who the US could not beat. In fact, they lost to them on the final day, knocking them out. Trinidad wasn't even going to the World Cup. They've only been to one World Cup in 2006. Trinidad tied today at Bahamas, who are 100 spots below Trinidad, who are themselves 103 in the
Yeah,
world.
but was it in the Bahamas?
Yes. And the Bahamas
Always a
tied.
lovely place to play there, but
It's a
not on the
lovely
field.
place to vacation, probably difficult place to win. And it was for Trinidad because Trinidad tied, meaning they are eliminated from World Cup qualifying because St. Kitts and Nevis, James, one of your favorites, I would say in the flag, or no?
They've got a fun flag.
I was going to say St. Kitts and Nevis somehow got 3 wins out of 3, had 9 points. And even though there's one game to play, Trinidad has been eliminated. And St. Kitts and Nevis has a chance to be in this group with the U.S. Anyway, I just wanted to.
A chance? Who? What do you mean? They're not going to win their group?
Well, they're going to win their group, but then those group winners go into these
Oh,
2-legged playoffs with other winners, and 3, because there's 6. So then 3, I know I held up 6 fingers there for you watching, 3 advance into the octagonal or whatever you want to call it. That's what I saw on. So, I mean, there's the likes of Canada, who most likely will get into the octagonal, which I kind of hope they do because we need to smack them around a couple times. Sorry, Canada. Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, Panama.
Okay, Panama. Yeah.
So,
is there a draw or is it seeded or?
I believe it's a draw for these for the play.
So like Canada could draw like Panama.
Well, let me. This is. Do I have it? I had the Wikipedia open here. I believe. No, it has been determined. It has been determined who plays who. It's based on your group. So, Curacao. So, basically, so for instance, St. Kitts and Nevis, they won Group F. They're going to play the winner of Group A, which at this point is Curacao. But Guatemala and Curacao are tied on points, each with 9 and 3 wins going into the final day of matches. So that would be upset if Curacao didn't make it out, because Curacao has made Gold Cups and been kind of decent. So that's for instance. And so the other matchups could be, let's see, we got, so it could be Canada or Suriname, James. Am I saying that right?
Yeah, Suriname. I'm not sure.
Suriname.
Let us know in the comments. Suriname.
Suriname against possibly Haiti or Nicaragua, depending on who advances.
Come on, Haiti, let's go.
I know Haiti won 10-0 today against, I believe it was, may have been Turks and Caicos. I'm not sure. There's some fun flags and nations in CONCACAF. Most of them aren't very good, but this is the cool part about World Cup qualifying, because like Trinidad should be beating Bahamas, but you got to go and play the game. And they did, and Bahamas got a tie. Anyway, for World Cup qualifying, James, do you have any worries that we're going to have a repeat? Or have we laid the demons of 2017 with Bruce Arena and all those? We got Omar Gonzalez, Tim Howard, they're all gone. It's a basically completely new team except for like Kellen Acosta, who was young then, and Christian Pulisic.
He had a good game once.
He did. All those guys are gone, basically. But going into qualifying, where I told you the format, there's more games now. They're going to be grouped into match cycles of 3. So like 3 in a window, 3 in a window instead of 2. That might be interesting. But what is your feeling about qualifying? I know we still have to see these guys play a lot, but are you worried? Or is this, we're going to show people it's a revenge tour. We're going to take these guys out. Pulisic's going to just like stare at a picture of himself crying from 2017 and just go out there and lay waste to CONCACAF.
I don't know. I think I should be worried. I should be worried, but I'm not.
Wow.
I'm just not. I just feel like, and now I'm going to lay out my reasoning why I'm not worried, and this is faulty reasoning. So here's the reasoning. The reasoning is there's extra teams that suck that are going to be included, meaning we're going to get all this boost from all these extra wins, all this garbage that's going to get let into the group.
Okay.
But then that obviously doesn't track because Mexico gets to play them. So does Costa Rica and whatever all the other teams that are
Yeah,
in. So it really
Honduras.
doesn't work like that. But maybe it does. Like maybe not in a point sense. Maybe it's more in a confidence sense. Like if you come off of playing Mexico away, you don't have to go immediately to Costa Rica away. You get to go to Canada. So
I don't
in
think that's
theory, it could
faulty
be
reasoning. I think you're right. It's psychologically, it's like it feels better
yeah.
because it is true that although like CONCACAF is not CONMEBOL, when you get to the 6 teams, there isn't like a Belize or a St. Kitts and Nevis. There isn't. The weakest team was probably Trinidad in that cycle, I would say, or maybe Jamaica. But those teams are
They gave Mexico trouble.
decent.
They always give us trouble.
I
They
think
gave everyone trouble.
that's the thing. CONCACAF is difficult, partly because the teams are like decent. They're not good. None of them are good. They're kind of tough to play against, and the away trips are hard. Is that an excuse and the U.S. should not qualify? No, you got to get it done, but it is a challenge. I also, for some reason, have just this. Maybe it's just like the idea that it can't happen again. Like that was just the one-off thing that you just think, oh, there was that one time. I'm like, we're gonna get it done. I think just like with Peru last time, and this time, spoiler alert, U.S. got off to a pretty bad start to qualifying, and we were like, it's okay, we can make these points up. We got Honduras at home. Okay, we'll win that, which they did. But then they left themselves with a lot of like, we got to get a win here, and then they didn't, and they were like relying on other results, which you never want to do. They started off with a loss to Mexico at home, and then I think excuse me, they lost like 3-0 to Costa Rica, I think, or something like that in the first 2 games. So no points, I think, or maybe 1 in the first 2 games, which is bad. And it turned out to be the difference, I would say, in the whole thing. So we'll see how it goes. I'm confident, basically because I think we have good players. I think they're going to be able to figure it out.
Good enough to beat most of the teams.
Yeah, you got to be 3rd or 4th, and I think you can be third or
We
fourth.
don't have to beat Mexico and Costa Rica to make it.
But I would
you want
like
to,
to.
though.
I would like to. I want to have us have the like. You look at World Cup qualifying, like, oh, the U.S. won every single game and they only conceded 3 goals.
Wow, that would be something.
I mean, maybe not at this point. I think we should be first focusing on qualifying. So, James, let me ask you for a couple predictions. Tomorrow, what's going to happen? I believe these games, because they're the final, will go to extra time if it's tied. It doesn't go straight to penalties like the semifinal did for Mexico, would have for the U.S. Tomorrow, give me the prediction. And if the U.S. scores in your prediction, who's going to score?
I don't even know who's going to start.
I'll give
so
you.
I can't really tell you. Whatever. I'll just guess. Anyway,
I can give you some context.
Michael Bradley.
He's not in the team.
From midfield.
He's not in the team.
Okay. I don't know. I really don't know.
Can you just give me a score? Give me anything.
A score. I'm not gonna be cynical. My cynical brain is telling me that we're gonna lose 2-0.
Oh. Okay.
And it's not gonna be pretty.
I thought you said you weren't gonna be cynical.
Yeah, that's my cynical brain.
Okay, so you are gonna be cynical.
But my more optimistic side, which is what I think is going to happen, is a 2-1 win.
Okay.
And Gio Reyna will actually hit the target.
Gio Reyna will hit the target.
He'll hit the target in my world. And so will Josh Sargent. Of course, he's totally going to score.
I think that would be a big thing for his confidence and his stock in the national team.
Yeah, because he doesn't look like he has anything going for him at all.
He's been playing on a terrible Bundesliga team for a while, so he's got to learn how to, get a good chance.
Yeah, just like another promising striker that I remember playing for a terrible German team.
Bobby Wood.
Yes. I remember Bobby Wood, the second coming. He's going to be so good.
I mean, no one said second coming.
But he was a failure.
Okay. We celebrated hard when he scored in the Rose Bowl, James, to equalize in extra time.
That was back when we still had faith in humanity.
What a night, what a game, what a loss. Okay. I'm going to say, I want to believe too. I think this is going to go to extra time. and I think we're gonna win. I think we're gonna win 1-0.
I think it's gonna be an ugly game. It's
Yeah,
not gonna be pretty. If you're not interested, if you're like not a fan of either side, you're not gonna find much value in this game. Like, it's
yeah,
not
it's
gonna be
gonna
very
yeah.
good.
But I think US is gonna win 1-0. I really hope Pulisic scores. I just like Pulisic. He does great celebrations. And I hope he scores. I'm thinking counterattack. I'm thinking, which to be honest, he might not be able to go 120 minutes if I'm thinking about it. All these guys are coming off of like long seasons and it's high altitude. So
91st minute.
yeah, early in extra time, either early in extra time or a late winner from Pulisic. He's gonna go on a
Late winner
break.
from Pulisic. Are you dreaming?
Yes, I am, James.
This
I
is
am.
the dream you had last night, wasn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, we clear. John Brooks hoofs a long ball.
Yeah.
Diego Reyes misjudges the ball. It bounces, and Pulisic Pulisic somehow just kind of sneaks behind him, kind of like his goal against Man City on that one time. Do you remember that? Where he just kind of ran past everybody. Hopefully his hamstrings hold up, and he'll round Ochoa. That's what he's going to do. He's going to round Ochoa because he's a great soccer player and he knows how to round the goalkeeper, and he's going to finish, and we're going to win, and we're gonna read way too much into it, and we're gonna go crazy celebrating. We're like, that's right, we're CONCACAF. Give us the trophy. Let's go. But I don't know if that's gonna happen. Probably
Wow,
your
you got all this
first
planned out. Wow.
probably your first prediction that you said is more likely of the three things we've just said. Now, last prediction: will we qualify for the 2022 World Cup? Okay, automatically or intercontinental playoff?
Automatically.
Okay, no worries at all.
No.
What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing. What could go wrong? Nothing.
You're right. Those will start in September, but tomorrow, Sunday, June 6th, 6:36 is the official start time, Pacific time. So don't fall for the 6 p.m. Pacific time online. That's a trap to get you to watch CBS Sports.
Coverage
pregame.
starts. I think it's starting now. Isn't coverage starting right now?
It might be starting in like half.
Kate Abdo is getting the coffee cups
It
going.
wasn't terrible. I'm just saying CBS wasn't terrible. Clint Dempsey was like putting shades on and saying we're going to win this game. And I felt confident because Clint Dempsey gives me confidence when I see him. Maybe he can give us 20 minutes. I don't know. But anyway, so that's tomorrow. We probably won't come back with a just US podcast. We just wanted to do this because it's US Mexico. We might bring it back with a US Peru, which could be a doomy and gloomy podcast as James just withers in the corner. I know I didn't want to bring up Peru, but we'll be back with our dad, I think, probably for that one too. It'll probably be early next week after Peru plays their second game. I'm not going to give away what happened because I don't even want to.
They won, right?
I'm not going to say. You can look it up. I don't want to rip open that scale.
David, I need you to tell me everything's going to be okay.
For who? Peru? I cannot do that. I cannot. Unless you want me to lie. I cannot.
Lie to me, David. Lie.
James, everything's gonna be okay.
Yep.
As long as you don't watch the game.
Don't look at the table. The
Don't
table's
look
a lie.
at the table. I don't know how we got to Peru. We're gonna stick with the US, the young US, James. They're gonna do it for us. Okay. We are going to call it a day for now, but we'll be back with more podcasts and more hopefully happy podcasts in the near future. So for now, we'll say goodbye.
Bye.